Okay, students, our next discussion on Plant Kingdom, chapter 3rd from first PUC object to NEET CET bits. So last video we have discussed up to 26 bits. In this video we will discuss from 27 to 50 bits. Okay, these are helpful for NEET CET or any other competitive exams. So first of all, see here the question here. See. Here the question is, in which of the following members, in which of the following members the sporophyte is structurally differentiated into foot, theta, and capsule? See here, see, in which following members of the sporophyte? So the sporophyte means what generally? So gametophyte. This is gametophyte. This is gametophyte. On this gametophytic structure, sporophyte. This is called sporophytic structure. Okay, so this sporophyte is structurally differentiated into foot. This is theta and capsule. So is structurally differentiated into foot to theta and capsule. From which of these following? That is the question. See, hepatic capsida. So here bryophyta has two classes. One is hepatic capsida and another one is bryopsida. Hepatic capsida has two subclasses, liverworts and mosses. Liverworts. Bryopsida has mosses. Okay, so the first and third is correct. So anthera topsida. So this is not at all related in this question. With this question. So anthera topsida is not related to this one. Fourth. So among the four options, the correct option is fourth. That is 1 and 3. The correct answer for 27th question is 1 and 3. Next, let us see 28th question. Sex organs are found on specialized stalked sexual receptacles. Those are called antheridiopore and archegoniospore. In which of the following? See, actually, sex organs are found in specialized structures. So those specialized structures are called sexual receptacles. Those are called antherozoids and antheridia and archegonia. So these are also called, antheridia is also called antheridiopore. Archegonia is also called archegoniospore. These are commonly found in, see here, rixia. So rixia, so this kind of a structure, this kind of sexual receptacles we are not found. So option 1 is wrong. So 2, Markantia. So liverworts example is Markantia. In the Markantia, so we can find specialized stalked means what? See, like this way, stalked structures. These are called antheridia. So from this another side, like this way, stalked structures. These are called archegoniospores, antheridia and archegonia, like this way. These are found only in Markantia. Okay, so funaria, it is related to pteridophytes. So it is not related to this question. Pogonatum, it is also not related to this question. This kind of specialized stalked sexual receptacles will be found only in Markantia. So that remaining 3 options were wrong. The correct answer is second option. Our next bit, that is 29. The sporophyte is totally or partially dependent on gametophyte. In which of the following? See here, generally here we will discuss, generally the sporophyte is totally or partially. See here, so this is like this way, rhizoids will be there. So from upside, like this way, gametophytic structure we can see. This is called gametophyte. All gametophytic structures. Gametophytic. Okay, so gametophytic structure. So at the end, what would be there? Here, see here. At the end, what would be there? This is called sporophyte. The sporophyte. This is called sporophytic structure. The sporophytic structure. So this is called foot. This is called seta. Okay, this is called capsule. Foot, setae, capsule. Seta, sorry, no, seta. So here the sporophyte is totally or partially dependent on gametophyte. This is called gametophyte. In which of the following? So in pteridophyte, so generally gametophyte is located on sporophyte. It would be reverse. This is called sporophyte. Sporophyte. In pteridophyte, it becomes here, gametophyte becomes upside. So in pteridophytes, this does not happen. So option 1 is wrong option. Gymnosperms like this way, sporophyte we could not see. Okay, like these gametophyte sporophytes are different. So that is what we could not see. So bryophytes is kind of totally or partially dependent, effectively seen in bryophyta. So option 3 is correct. Angiosperms, generally in angiosperms, so angiosperms and gymnosperms, so pollen grains, ovules are formed. In between them, fertilization takes place. So that here among 4 options, option 3, third option is correct option. Thank you. Next, 30th question. Liverworts. The liverworts differ from mosses in the yield. See, the liverworts are differ from the mosses. Liverwort, always liverwort is differ from the mosses in the yield. Rhizoids. So generally, so in liverworts and mosses, in both rhizoids are present. Rhizoids are multicellular rhizoids occurs in both the liverworts and mosses, so that it is not correct. Okay, that's all. Liverworts differ from mosses in the yield. That's all. So that is. Next is structure of the plant body. So actually liverwort body is different and mosses body is different. So second also okay. Different. Rhizoids also in the liverworts and mosses, rhizoids are different. So in the actually first I said in both the places rhizoids are common. I said, but sorry, it was different. In liverworts, rhizoids are different. Rhizoids are not present in liverworts. So in mosses only liverworts are present. So that the rhizoids are in liverworts and mosses are differ. Structure of the plant body also differ. Liverworts body is, so some members of the group may have tiny leaf-like structures. So those are arranged in 2 rows on the stem-like structure. So that is the arrangement in liverworts. But in mosses, it is different. This is different. Okay, that's all. So second also correct only. Third, not having paraphysis. This is paraphysis. So paraphysis means what? Here we have the paraphysis means a sterile hair. Paraphysis means what? A sterile hair which is found sterile. Paraphysis. Paraphysis. Paraphysis means a sterile hair found among the reproductive structures. Reproductive structures. Reproductive structures of many fungi, bryophytes, and algae. So these provide protection, and in some species may be involved in dehiscence. Okay, so these are mostly found in fungi, bryophytes, and algae. These are helps in dehiscence. Helps in dehiscence. Dehiscence means what? Dehiscence means what? Splitting. Okay, so not having paraphysis. So generally not having paraphysis. Okay, so that's it. It is also differ from liverworts to mosses. Okay, that's all. So these three are differ from liverworts to mosses. Therefore, the correct option is for all of the above. The correct answer is fourth, all of the above. Next. Next bit, pteridophytes show the following. So generally pteridophytes, what kind of options they will show in their life cycle. So first, flowerless. Generally, pteridophytes don't possess any flowers. So this is correct, flowerless. So they don't possess any seeds. So seedless. Spore bearing, yes, pteridophytes possess micro and megaspores. Okay, so that the spore bearing, it is also correct. So here fruit bearing, here spore bearing plants does not bear fruits. So that here among the four options, first option is correct, second option is correct, third option is correct, but fourth option is wrong. So here first, second, third, first, second, third. First, so among those, the first option is the option 1. Correct answer is first. Okay, that's all. Next, botanical snakes are. Here, botanical snakes are. Okay, those are algae. Generally, botanical snakes are, we will not at all call algae. So algae we will not call botanical snakes. Algae is just a small plant like structures, like this way, plant like structures. So that algae is not considered as botanical snakes. Option 1 is wrong. Second, so bryophytes. So bryophytes also, these are little bit modified more than the algae. So that bryophytes also wrong. So here if we will see pteridophytes, generally here pteridophytes are primitive vascular plants. Primitive to vascular plants. Vascular plants means what? They have well-developed xylem and phloem. So that these are called primitive vascular plants that are seedless. Generally, pteridophytes are seedless because they bear spores. They reproduce by spores. Because of these spores production, they don't produce seeds. In a similar way, the pteridophytes are first land plants. Pteridophytes are first land plants, which is evolved after bryophytes. Hence, pteridophytes are sometimes called as botanical snakes. Sometimes they are called as botanical snakes. Are snakes of the plant kingdom. Snakes of snakes of the plant kingdom. Plant kingdom. Snakes of the plant kingdom. Okay. So here option 3 is correct. Let's see gymnosperms. Generally, gymnosperms. In the gymnosperms, generally gymnosperms, these are plants, somewhat height growing plants. Okay, so that gymnosperms we will not consider as botanical snakes. Here, among 4 options, first, second, and fourth options are wrong. The correct option is, third option is correct option. Okay, that's all. Okay, next bit, 33. The phloem in pteridophytes is lacking. Lacking means what? Absent. Absent. Okay, so generally in the pteridophytes, the phloem helps for translocate the food. So the phloem contains seed cells. Okay, so the seed cells are present. Phloem parenchyma cells are not present. These two are present. It helps in the translocation of food materials from source to sink. But in the pteridophytes phloem, companion cells are absent. Generally, companion cells, these are special living cells. These are absent in pteridophytes. These are well developed in gymnosperms and angiosperms. Rather than gymnosperms, in the angiosperms, they have well developed. So that here, the correct option for 33 question, third. The correct answer is third answer is correct. Next, 34th question. Spores on germination in pteridophytes gives rise to. Generally, in the pteridophytes, when the spores are germinated, so they gives rise to what kind of structures? That is, we have to see. Okay. Option A, sporophyte. Option 2, sporobilus. Option 3, prothallus. None of these. Here, if you will see, spores on germination in pteridophytes. Generally, in pteridophytes, spores. So when the spores fall on moist soil, when the spores are fall on moist soil, it germinates into a short green filament. Short green filament. Okay, so this grows into heart-shaped structure called prothallus. Short green-shaped structure that is called prothallus, which is a gametophyte. Okay, so among these 4 options here, so when spores germinated, they give short green filaments. That is what here prothallus. So that the correct option is third option. Heart-shaped structure is called prothallus. It is gametophyte. So the correct option is okay. So spore does not give sporophyte. So option 1 is wrong. Strobilus is different. So the sporophyte gives rise to male strobilus, female strobilus. That is does not form from the spores. So second option is wrong. So fourth option also wrong. Therefore, the correct answer is 3. Next question. Most primitive primary type of stele found in pteridophyte is. So here stele in pteridophytes is found in, so stele, it is wrong. Okay, protostele. So these different types of steles commonly here. Protostele we will found only in pteridophytes. So here we have to discuss what is protostele. So stele is a column containing vascular tissue. See here, this is vascular bundle. So here vascular tissue, this is called vascular tissue. So this vascular tissue is called stele. Stele is a column. It is containing vascular tissue, which is surrounded by this stele is surrounded by pericycle, a kind that is called pericycle. Pericycle. So it is separated from the ground tissue. So like this way. So this pericycle is called ground tissue. Ground tissue. Ground tissue. So this pericycle still is separated from the ground tissue by endodermis. So it is called ground tissue. So it is entire is ground tissue. From this ground tissue, it is separated. Okay, so that it is endodermis. Next, the simplest and most primitive type of steel is the protosteel. The simplest and most primary type of steel is protosteel, in which the xylem is in the center of the steel. So the most primitive type of steel is protosteel. Protosteel. So generally, which is in which the xylem is in the center of the stem. The xylem in this xylem is located center of the stem, which is surrounded by a band of phloem. So it is called band of phloem. It is called band of phloem. It is called xylem. Okay. Next, it is a conductive system of simple organization. So the xylem and the phloem, various kinds of materials are transported. So in this case, pith is absent. There is no pith in this case. In this type of protosteel, pith is absent. Pith is absent. It can be found in primitive vascular plants. Primitive primary vascular plants, that is especially in pteridophytes only. So that among those four options, protosteel will be found in pteridophytes only. So these cyclosteel, solenosteel, dictyosteel, these are found in other plants. So that we need not get any confusion. Here they have given pteridophytes. In pteridophytes, we will find only protosteel. Okay, it is a primitive type of protosteel. So that the correct option is, second option is correct option. Okay, next page. The sex organs are present on which surface of prothallus? Generally here four options given. The dorsal. Dorsal means what? Upper surface. Ventral means lower surface. Both 1 and 2. None of these. This one. The antheridium. The antheridium is called male organ. Sex organ. It is located on the lower surface of the fern. Prothallus. Antheridium, male organ. It is located on the lower surface of the fern prothallus. And archegonium, it is female organ. It is located on the upper surface of the fern prothallus. So here they have mentioned sex organs are present on which surface of the prothallus. Then what we can say that ventral surface, we consider that. So ventral surface, that means what? Lower surface. So on the lower surface, sex organs are located. Okay, that's all. So that for this 36th question, the correct option is, the correct answer is 2. On lower surface, that is ventral surface, the sex organs are present. Okay, next page. Which is not involved in the fertilization of fern. So generally, fern plant belongs to the pteridophyte. So in the pteridophytes, so generally, the water is involved in fertilization process. Okay, archegonia is involved in fertilization process. Flagella. So some archegonia, some antheridia have flagellated structures. So these three are involved in fertilization process, but pollen tube are not involved in fertilization process, because in pteridophytes, bryophytes, pollen tubes are absent. Pollen tubes are absent. Pollen tubes are unable to form. So that the correct option is 4th. Next, so pteridophytes differ from bryophytes in having. So pteridophytes differ from pteridophytes in which of the aspects? So if you will see that independent gametophyte and sporophyte. See here, pteridophyte differ from bryophytes. So pteridophytes, independent gametophyte. Gametophyte is independent. Yes. Independent gametophyte and sporophyte. In pteridophytes, gametophyte, sporophyte both are independent. Okay, so option 1 is correct. Pteridophytes differ from bryophytes in having. So this is okay. Next, sporophyte dependent on gametophyte. So sporophyte dependent on gametophyte. Yes, it is correct. It is also correct. Sporophyte always dependent on gametophyte for the nourishment. Gametophyte dependent on sporophyte. Gametophyte dependent on sporophyte. See here, pteridophytes differ from bryophytes in having. See, gametophyte dependent on sporophyte. Yes. So for the sporophyte forms spores. For that purpose, gametophyte dependent on sporophyte. Okay. So these three are correct options, related options. So absence of embryo. These three are correct. These three are not at all differentiated. Okay, so in pteridophytes, these are all the three options are found, but the absence of embryo, it is different. It is not found. So because in pteridophytes, embryo-like structures does not form. In pteridophytes, embryo-like structures does not form. So that according to the question, so fourth option is different. Absence of embryo. Absence of embryo, that is different. So the correct option is fourth. Next bit, in fern. Fern, example, Dryopteris. Spores are born in. So generally here, fern, actually it is the bit is not related to NCET bit. Again, the no problem we will discuss. See here, in a fern, there are several examples of it. Dryopteris, Teris, Adiantum. These are all commonly called fern. In this fern, spores are formed in Hugonium. Generally, Hugonium is not formed in fern plant. That is pteridophyte. So option 1 is wrong. Archegonium. So in the Archegonium, spores are not formed. Archegonium spores are not formed. Stomium, it is not at all formed in pteridophytes. So that sporangium, fourth, three options were wrong. Then ultimately fourth option is correct. Sporangium. So in fern plants, like this way, one filamentous structure is formed. So in this filamentous structure, like this way, sporangium. So it will be like this way, like this. This is sporangium. Okay, so this is called sporangium. 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 In this sporangium, there are number of spores are formed. Number of spores are formed. Those spores are haploid. Okay, so this is filamentous. Filamentous. So correct option is fourth option. Next bit, xylem vessels and seed tubes are absent in phloem of. Generally, xylem vessels and seed tubes. So xylem vessels are generally present in xylem. Seed tubes are generally present in phloem. So these are absent in the phloem of angiosperms. Actually, xylem vessels and seed tubes and angiosperms are well developed. So they have asked absent. In pteridophytes, these two are absent. Are absent. In dicots, those are well developed. In monocots also, those are well developed. Well developed. So that xylem vessels and seed tubes are absent in phloem of pteridophytes. So the correct option is the second option. Next, after fertilization, the antipodals. See here, generally angiosperms possess double fertilization. Here, this is mature embryo sac. Here, three haploid antipodals. These are called antipodals. Antipodals. So after fertilization, the antipodal cells are what happened? Develop into new cells. Actually, so new cells is not formed from the antipodal. So option 1 is wrong. To provide nutrition to the developing gamete. So nutrition is not at all provided by the antipodals. So second option also wrong. Third option, degenerate. After fertilization, the antipodals are degenerate. Antipodals are degenerate, fall off. Okay, it is correct option. Next, undergo meiosis. So antipodals not at all involved in meiosis. So antipodals are formed from the division of mitosis. Mitosis divisions. So among the four options, the correct option for 41 question, third option. The correct answer is third answer. The correct answer for this question, the correct answer is third. Which of the following differentiate between bryophytes and pteridophytes? So what are the differences? Necessity of water fertilization for both water is necessity. But here differentiate. So it is wrong option. Absence of seed. So generally in both the cases seed is absent. So it is also wrong option. Sex organs on the same plant. So generally in bryophytes, pteridophytes, sex organs, antheridia and archegonia are present on the same plant. So it is also wrong option. If three options were wrong, ultimately fourth option. That is presence of vascular tissue. Yes. So in bryophytes, vascular tissue is absent. In pteridophytes, vascular tissue is well developed. So that the correct option is fourth option. Next bit, development of sporophyte from gametophyte without fertilization. That is called what? So development of sporophyte from gametophyte. So always here we have seen in gametophytes and in bryophytes, sporophyte is developed from the gametophyte. But in some cases, without fertilization, sporophyte is formed. That is called what? So here, apospore. Generally here, apospore means in this development of diploid gametophytes without meiosis and spores formed from vegetative cells. That is called apospory. What happened here in this development of diploid gametophyte without meiosis, diploid gametophyte without meiosis and spores formation vegetative cells, that is called apospory. So, but here what have development of sporophyte? So that option one is wrong. Next, apogamy. Apogamy means what? In this, the development of haploid sporophyte. Okay, so from the gametophyte, So from that gametophyte, without fertilization and without gametes, without syngamy, nothing but without fertilization and without gametes, sporophyte is formed. That is called apogamy. So second option is correct option. Here apomixis. Here what? Seeds are formed without the fertilization and fusion of male and female gametes. That is called apomixis. But they have asked about sporophytes. Autogamy. Autogamy means what? Auto means self. Gamy means marriage. Self-marriage. Okay. So, but they have asked about sporophyte. Among four options, the correct option is second option. The correct option is second option. The coralloid roots of cycas. The coralloid roots of cycas. The coralloid roots of cycas have small specialized roots. Those small specialized roots are called coralloid roots. So those coralloid roots which are associated with the nitrogen fixing bacteria, that is called cyanobacteria. That is here what? Nitrogen fixing bacteria. It is wrong option. They have asked. So the cycas, the coralloid roots of cycas have specialized roots. Those are called coralloid roots, which are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is also called blue-green algae. So second option is correct option. Next, wasps. So wasps are not involved in nitrogen fixing process. So third option is wrong. Fungus. Fungus also not involved in this question. So among the four options, the correct option is second option. This question, that in gracile area, the sexual reproduction is. So in gracile area, they have asked about sexual reproduction. Generally, in the gracile area, sexual reproduction occurs. Sexual reproduction occurs by the fusion of large ovum, with the motile sperm. Motile sperm. Motile sperm. It is called oogamy. 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 Okay, it is commonly seen in grassel area. So here oogamy nothing but oogamous. So third option. So among these three, third option is correct. So the correct answer is third option. So here if you will see isogamous. Isogamous means what here? The fusion of between similar gametes. The fusion between similar gametes. The fusion between the similar gametes is called isogametes. So here in the grassel areas, similar gametes does not fuse. So option 1 is wrong. Anisogamy. So here see, when the gametes are dissimilar in size, they are called anisogamy. And their fusion is called anisogamous. But in this case, the gametes are not motile. Both the gametes are not motile. So that second option is wrong. Second option is wrong. So here if you will see third, in this one large ovum is fused with motile sperm. In grassel area, sexual reproduction occurs in oogamous. Oogamous type of sexual reproduction. Next bit, in red algae, the food is stored in the form of, see here, in red algae, the food is stored in the form of Floridian starch. Already in yesterday one video we have did, in that I have given explanation. Okay, so Floridian starch, the food is in red algae stored in the Floridian starch. Okay, that's all. Next, mannitol. So mannitol, it is generally in Phaeophyceae. That is brown algae. In brown algae, the food is stored in the form of mannitol. Glycogen granules. So the glycogen and leucosin, it is seen in another glycogen granules. It is seen in Chlorophyceae. Laminarian means what? It is also mannitol and laminarian brown algae. In laminarian and mannitol, in brown algae, laminarian and mannitol form food is stored. In green algae, glycogen and leucosin food is stored in this form. In red algae, the food is stored in Floridian starch. They have asked in red algae. So that first option is correct. Remaining second option, third option, and fourth options are wrong. The reserve food material of plants of class Chlorophyceae is. Generally, the reserve food material in the class Chlorophyceae plants is generally starch. Okay, so in Chlorophyceae, the food is stored. The food storage what is called pyrenoids. They store carbohydrates as starch, which is insoluble. Some may store food in the form of oil droplets. Okay, so the first option is correct. So generally here laminarian, glycogen, laminarian, it is generally brown algae. Mannitol, it is also brown algae. Okay, so glycogen. So in the late stage of the food storage in Chlorophyceae is glycogen. So but here reserve food material of plants of class Chlorophyceae is starch. So here third option also wrong. Second option also wrong. Fourth option also wrong. The correct option is fourth. The correct option is first. The reserve food material of plants of class Chlorophyceae is one starch. So here if you will see the next bit, polar nuclei fuse to produce polar nuclei. See here in the mature embryo sac, these three are called antipodals. Here polar nuclei, this is polar nuclei, haploid plus haploid. So in mature stage, the two are separated. When are mature, these two becomes fused and are called secondary nucleus. Polar nuclei fuse to produce diploid secondary nucleus. So that first option is correct. So second, third, and fourth are wrong options. Okay, that's all. Vessels in xylem. Vessels in xylem of gymnosperms are. So vessels in xylem of gymnosperms are. Vessels in xylem of gymnosperms are generally absent. In gymnosperms, xylem vessels are generally absent. Okay, so among four options, generally absent, it is correct option. So it is not at all related. Absent, not generally, specifically absent, generally present. So third option is correct. Third option is correct. Vessels in xylem of gymnosperms absent. In gymnosperms, xylem does not have xylem brackets, xylem vessels, xylem parenchyma, etc. So 49th question, correct option is third. Endosperm in gymnosperms is. Endosperm in gymnosperms is. Generally, endosperm in gymnosperms generally is haploid. Generally is haploid. Generally haploid. It is wrong option. Always haploid. Always generally haploid. Always haploid. Triploid with different ploid levels. Here, so endosperm in gymnosperms always haploid because generally in gymnosperms double fertilization is absent. Double fertilization is absent, so that endosperm does not form diploid or polyploid level. So that in gymnosperms, always endosperm nature is haploid. If it is angiosperms, it is triploid. Triploid. So that it is always haploid. The correct option is 2. 50th question, correct option is 2. So here in this code, in this case, downside answers also I have given. You can follow those answers.